Completing the FarmCast application, financial aid, and taking the PCAT may be the only tangible items needed to apply for pharmacy school, but they shouldn't be the only steps taken. In episode 3, I discussed some career goal setting tips, and in this week, I will discuss things you should consider when choosing a pharmacy school. But before we get started, I want to remind our listeners to check out the Crack the PCAT website. Their program simulates the computer-based exam, sharpen your test-taking skills, and estimate your PCAT score based on other pre-pharmacy students. So visit crackpcat.com for all of your exam preparation needs. Now let's get to the show. I know some students are sending in their applications, receiving interview invites, and also receiving acceptance letters for schools. So I thought it would be a good idea this week to share some tips that you should consider when picking the schools that you want to send your application to, and also probably picking the school that you want to attend if you received acceptance for multiple schools. So one of the first things that I considered was the location. Was it near my family? And also, is it someplace that I can find a job if I want to work while I'm in school? Some schools I know are in small college towns where there are only really the school there. So I look to see if there are any retail stores because I am trained, as a pharmacy technician, or any hospitals that if I had the opportunity or the time to work, just to get some pocket change that I would be able to find a job. So also to go with the location and if I'm near my family, I considered the cost of living. I considered off-campus arrangements if I have to find an apartment, roommates, how far would I possibly have to go away from the campus? Also, would I be considered an in-state or out-of-state student? I know sometimes the out-of-state tuition could be triple or, even maybe double the amount of in-state tuition. And I know personally for me, I already have 2 degrees that I've taken out loans for. So I'm just trying to be as smart as possible when picking my next school to continue my education with. And also the travel. If you're going to be away from your support system and your family, are you only a couple of hours away? Can you drive? Can you take the train? Or if you're maybe on the other side of the country, what are the airfares looking like for you if you have to come back for holidays or maybe a 3-day weekend or even an emergency? I know when I was an undergraduate, I was a few hours away and there was a airport 30 minutes away from my campus, but the airfare was extremely expensive, maybe because it was a smaller airport. So I decided to start taking the train. Even though that almost tripled my travel time, it was more affordable for a college student. So the next thing, I'm just going to kind of couple some things together, but overall, it's the curriculum. Is it a 3-year program or an online program or a traditional program? And what works best with your learning style? Do they have dual degree options? Can you get your MPH or your PhD or MBA while you're getting your PharmD? Also, I looked at the previous class statistics. I looked at their GPAs, PCAT scores, the number of students that applied, the number of students that were invited for our interview, and the number of students that are accepted. I know on these applications they have a minimum requirement, but most times, I'll just say sometimes, the minimum requirement is lower than what they actually accept. So maybe the minimum requirement is a 2.5. And I know when I looked back at some of the statistics for previous classes that had matriculated through the program, it was a 3.0. So I kind of just wanted to make sure that I was eligible for that program. regarding like the previous classes that they have accepted before, because I don't want to waste, an application payment or my time applying to a school that I'm not eligible for. So some more things that I looked into was the class size. Also, is it a team-based learning environment? That was very important to me. If they did activities with maybe the medical students or the other students on that campus or other schools, I would like that to be a part of my experience when I go to a pharmacy school. And also just the campus environment. Do they have, pharmacy students? Are just pharmacist association chapters on their campus, and other things like that. We know you are there to get your degree, but you want to be a well-rounded student once you leave that program. So just to piggyback, or just to recap, some of the things that I mentioned are the locations of the schools, the cost of living, and also the curriculum. Oh, and one other thing I want to mention regarding the curriculum, I know for a lot of schools, they start introducing your rotation assignments into the program at different times. Some schools, they introduce you into rotations your first year, and some wait until the second year, the second summer of your second year. So just depending on how many clinical hours you want to leave the program with, and some of the rotation sites that they already have partnerships with, maybe this is a question you can ask if you're accepted for an interview, or maybe it's information you can find on the internet. But those were a lot of the things that I considered when picking the schools that I'm applying to, and also that I'm going to consider if I'm accepted to multiple schools. So if you have any other tips, please make sure to share them with me. We're all on this journey together. And also, if you want to be a guest on the show, or if you have a topic that you would like me to touch on, please send all that information to podcast@crackpcat.com. And I'll talk to you guys next week.